kids lose their toys every day.
I was made to help a child. I don't remember it being this hard.
Woody, somebody's whispering in your ear.
Everything's gonna be okay.
98% from critics, 95% from audiences. This film has been gaining so much praise that I've got to admit it actually did a good job of disarming me. And the reason why that's impressive is because when I first saw the trailer to Toy Story 4, I think I had the exact same thought that everyone else had. This seems unnecessary. Toy Story 3 was the perfect ending to a franchise. And the funny thing is, when I saw the trailer to that movie, I also thought, well, this seems unnecessary. But the third movie took every message and moral from the past movies and put its money where its mouth was. Remember when in Toy Story 2, Woody said something to the effect of,
You're right, Prospector. I can't stop Andy from growing up. But I wouldn't miss it for the world.
Well, Toy Story 3 puts Woody and the gang in that exact situation, and we all get to see how genuine he was being when he said that. 3 seems like a natural conclusion, and it was amazing. I know a lot of people aren't huge on it, but it was just, I love it. It's definitely my favorite of the 3. So bringing this back to 4, the biggest question that I have, and honestly I think the question that needs to be answered, does this movie continue to advance the story in a meaningful way, or is it just kind of a tacked-on addition? After all, if you're going to keep the story going after what I and many people think was the perfect ending, you'd hope there'd be a good reason. You know, what made the creators of this film go, 3 is not good enough, we need to keep going? Well, first of all, what is the story? Ultimately, the story is about letting go. Woody's fulfilled his purpose as a toy. He got Andy through childhood, kept him happy while doing so. Now he's with Bonnie, but in Toy Story 4 has to come face to face with the reality that he's not one of her favorite toys. That is, until the sentient fork that you've no doubt seen in the trailers enters the picture. So this is Forky. He's a craft project that has come to life and is now Bonnie's favorite toy. Woody has to keep Forky from throwing himself away. From then, geez, a bunch of stuff happens. There's a carnival, an antique store, a road trip, reuniting with old characters who weren't in 3, new characters are introduced, old characters are relegated to the sideline. But before I get into the whole point of this review, I'm going to go over just a couple miscellaneous things. First off, the main side characters that you're used to, that being like Rex, Slinky, the Potatoes, etc., they're in the film, but not really. Their whole purpose is just to react to updates they receive from the actual plot. They've been replaced with a new batch of side characters who are decently funny. Bo Peep has pretty much been completely retconned, which is fine with me. Old Peep was very much just a love interest from Woody, and that was her entire personality. From the trailers, I was honestly a little afraid the writers were going to try too hard to fix the stated character by going too far in the opposite direction and making her the tough female character, and then that would be her only personality. Which, on a side note, we really need to come up with a name for characters whose entire personality is tough female character, so that way in the future I can say tough female character and have that be a positive thing. Thankfully, not only do they do a great job of giving her a role that actually makes sense in the context of the story, but also she's not so different from her old personality that it's jarring, and they aren't afraid to keep the love interest between her and Woody. It is a retcon, but I think it's a good retcon. Lastly, I like that they changed it up with the antagonist of the story. She's not just a toy bitter at being abandoned.
Fair? I'll tell you what's not fair. Spending a lifetime on a dime store shelf watching every other toy be sold.
Again.
I didn't throw you away. Your kid did. Ain't one kid ever loved a toy, really. Chew on that when you're at the dump.
She's got a good reason for doing what she wants, and she's not too awful, although she's certainly not a great person. The last thing real quick is that the 2 most emotional lines that they showed in the trailer turned out to be nothing but throwaway lines when put in context, and that sucks.
I was made to help a child. I don't remember it being this hard.
Woody, somebody's whispering in your ear.
Everything's gonna be okay.
Okay, so let's get to the main point. Toy Story 4 is probably the smallest scale, lowest stakes film in the whole franchise. So think about this. In Toy Story 1, the main characters went all around town. They went from Andy's room, to Pizza Planet, to Sid's room, to exploring Sid's whole house, to a huge chase down the street. In 2, the toys traveled all around town. They were at a toy store, the apartment, the street, the airport, the elevator fight, and a car chase. In 3, there was both of the rooms in the daycare, Bonnie's room, the playground, and the dump. In 4, there's only really 2 locations, the carnival and the antique store. On top of that, the stakes are super low as well. Okay, I'm going to shotgun these real quick. Stakes in the first movie. Woody and Buzz might get blown up and Andy will be sad his toys are gone. Okay, stakes in the second movie. The friendship between Woody and Buzz set up in the first movie might be broken forever, Woody might stay a broken toy, and Andy will be sad his toys are gone. Toy Story 3. The toys will burn alive. And the stakes in 4. Bonnie will be sad her new arts and crafts project is lost. And that's it. What this all means is that 4 is a much more relaxed film than the other 3. It seems small, and it's almost like we've reset the stakes and the tensions from the rest of the franchise. And I've got to wonder how many people will actually be into that. I'm sure hearing the phrase, it's a smaller film, and the stakes aren't as high, will immediately make people think that what I'm trying to say is the film is bad. But honestly, after the kick in the balls that 3 was, I have to bet there's going to be plenty of people who will enjoy the fact that we've kind of gone back to normal. We've almost taken a break from the perilous, everyone will burn alive stakes from 3, which people might be into. But what does this mean for me? What do I think? Well, it means I don't think Toy Story 4 justifies its continuation of the franchise. It's not this huge tearjerker that the comments from Tim Allen and Tom Hanks would make you think it is. It made me cry. And it's not pushing the envelope of the message from the last films. Woody does have a lesson by the end, but it's a lesson that doesn't have anything to do with his past experiences. But, at the same time, it's still these very likable characters, the writing is still good, the animation is luxury. Seriously, look at the dog from the first film, and now look at this cat. This photorealistic looking cat, they're showing off. 4 reminds me of those Toy Story shorts that have been produced. It's largely separate from the rest of the franchise, and it doesn't feel like a continuation. It's just more Toy Story. And someone's got to be into that, right? So, the thing I want to do with my reviews is never ever give a numerical rating for a film. Instead, I want to recommend it to people who I think would genuinely like it. So, I would recommend this film if you aren't looking for a sequel to Toy Story 3. If you just want more Toy Story, if you just want to go back to the well-written characters and dialogue in this really fun world, I think you'll like this movie fine. If you want a movie that pushes the standards of the franchise and introduces our beloved characters to new and exciting challenges to face, then Toy Story 4 really doesn't justify its continuation of what is still a perfect trilogy. And that's all I gotta say about it. Considering how popular this movie has been and how well it's done financially, I'm sure most of you have already seen it. So, let me know what camp you're in. Were you happy you saw it? Did it get any joy out of you? Or are you disappointed that it's not a sequel to Toy Story 3 in the sense that 3 was to 2? Are you disappointed that it's not really a continuation of the last films and more its own thing? Let me know, and that'll do it for now. See ya.